And it's Cigar Saturday here live on BourbonBlog.com. Thanks for joining us. Just go ahead and start sharing this video, liking it, and stay with us for as long as you can. I hope for a drink and a smoke tonight. It's Matty Rock joining us live from Sanj's. How's everything at Sanj's there?
I can't complain. No complaints. Like I said, New Jersey was actually behaving today. Mother Nature wasn't a meth fiend, as I was mentioning before. It's not 80 degrees or it's not minus 12 with 18 inches of snow. We had a nice solid 70-degree day here, actually in short sleeves. So I cannot complain.
Excellent. We have some really amazing people joining us, quite a few, and we're glad to have the screen full of some really fine gentlemen here. It's Luis Cuevas there, along with Alec, joining us live from Miami, Florida. They're part of Casa. Well, they're actually what do you do? Tell us what you do. You're part of the Casa Cuevas Cigars, and what else? What else do you do?
Oh, we have a factory as well. Alec is a full-time student at Florida International University here locally, but he is my director of sales, and he works with me actually a lot more than part-time. So we have a factory in Dominican Republic. We manufacture for other brands. I've done so for decades and decades. I say we, it was really my dad and my uncle that did it for a very long time. And we launched the brand itself. It was we celebrating 4 years now. It was this week that we celebrated the 4 years. Last night was our anniversary for the brand, the 4-year anniversary. And we're the cigar business. We make cigars for other people. We make our own brand, and we try to be part of people's humidor, as I always say. Not the only thing they smoke, but certainly what they go to on occasion. If I'm able to achieve that, we are thrilled. Definitely. We are thrilled.
Well, you're doing a great job with it. Charlie Griffiths of the Vigilant Inc. What's happening? You're in New Hampshire there.
We're up in New Hampshire. Same, Matty. I had the weather you guys had today. It was just phenomenal. And, finally the snow's melted and spring's coming, I think. So it's been great. And, we make humidors that hopefully people are putting Cuevas cigars into.
I like that.
Of all sizes and shapes. And, we do a lot of custom work, so if somebody wants something specifically for their use, we can do that too. And it's fun to be on with you guys.
Oh, it's great to have you. And last but not least, it's musician and more, Carter Skinner of Tiburon Boutique Cigars. What's happening, Carter? You're joining us from Austin.
Just it sounds like just everybody else. I'm having the best day, beautiful day today here. Let's be honest, Matty put the musician thing in there. Let's be clear about that.
Says the guy with the 3 guitars hanging behind him from the back. Look, I have 10 guitars.
Right?
I have 10 guitars. I suck. I hide them. That's saying something right there, fella. Come on.
In all fairness, if it weren't for quite the clutter here in my office, I would show you also all the humidors. It's humidors and guitars in here, and little bit of work here and there. But yeah, so yeah, I am a musician. I don't do it for money anymore, but except the odd recording session. I was probably one of the chicken guys that it wasn't quite worth it for me to stick it out and keep going for it. But I still have a lot of friends here that are in the business. And people all over the planet that I'm still close with, and so it's definitely a love. But cigars just where Carter is for most of the time.
I think. Are you going to be performing for? Are you going to perform a little for us tonight, or?
I don't think that's going to happen. I appreciate it. But,
no, it's okay.
Well, Matt, let me see how much of this bourbon goes down, and we'll talk.
Okay, that can always help. What are you sipping on there?
Actually, so tonight I'm having let's see if we can get it there. Garrison Brothers single barrel from 2011. Have you had that, Tom?
I love it. I love Garrison.
Listen,
I've met the brothers. They do a great job. They're based not too far away from y'all there in Austin. They're not too far.
They're about an hour away from here. Mm-hmm. They are on the way to a very popular area, Fredericksburg, Texas. But they've got a few. Dan, Steve, great guys, and their whiskey's phenomenal.
Yeah, they really are amazing, and they make great whiskey. So we'll see. What is everybody else sipping on there? Is anybody else sipping on anything with their cigars? Or
I'm sipping on some Blantons that a really, really good friend of mine named Jim Odell, who's actually sitting across from me right here, was able to get me some time ago, and I've been just little by little just inching it down because I don't want it to run out. But what a phenomenal bourbon. He introduced me to it. I'm in love with it. I just can't get it readily accessible, right? So, but I'm thrilled that I was able to be able to taste it at least for now. Maybe I'll love it. Model the guys right here. Hopefully, he'll do it.
Yeah, Bland's is great stuff. Even here, I'm on the border of Indiana, Kentucky. It's even harder and harder to find here, and of course, it's gotten a little more expensive, but amazing stuff.
Yeah,
original. It was really for modern day the original single barrel bourbon, meaning all comes from one barrel, that came out at '83, and
wow.
The last 4 or 5 years, it's gotten hotter and hotter. So beautiful stuff. Charlie, are you sipping on anything or just smoking?
I am drinking some Whistle Pig rye right now.
Oh yeah, I love that. You all have great taste.
And so, if you're from Indiana, then do you like that weeded Redemption?
You know, it's good stuff. I like the Redemption. It's wonderful. Actually, the cocktail that my wife made me here is called the Revolver, and it has some Whistle Pig in it. We use the Whistle Pig in this one. It is rye whiskey and some coffee liqueur and orange bitters. It's really beautiful. So
wow, that sounds really good.
Well, it does sound good. I'm writing it down.
The Revolver is what it is called.
Yep.
Matty, what do you?
Vicariously through all you guys,
Yeah.
with my dark blend coffee Coke. So I'll have to bow down the adult beverages to you guys.
It's better that way.
Coke Black. All right, so a lot of great people watching us, a lot of great people here that we're chatting with tonight. Ask any questions you have for these gentlemen down below. Make sure you take a chance to like and share this. Either retweet it or share it on Facebook. However you're watching it, share it, and we'll enter you to win that coffee from Janus Coffee Roasters. Aged and used bourbon barrels, that coffee bean. You get a little of that bourbon in the morning when you do that thing. So how does I think we talked about this before we went live, but Matty was saying, hey, we have all these great people. How does everybody know each other here besides just cigars? Is that it? Or
it looks like the Brady Bunch square, so we should just go with it, right? And I want to be Alice in the middle. Always wanted to be Alice.
Okay.
You know, Alice actually spent her latter years here in Texas.
And you actually get an Alice story because of Carter, so go figure.
Hey, Matt, what you do this time
What
after?
was her name? I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, she lived, I think, the last 20 years of her life here.
No kidding.
Wow. Did you ever see her?
No, I didn't. I actually didn't.
Well, hell, Texas is a big state, though,
Yeah.
right? Where in Texas was she, right?
What? Pardon me?
Where in Texas was she? Because Texas is a pretty big
Not
state.
far from San Antonio.
Okay. All right.
See, you kind of killed the story, Carter, without at least having a picture of her with, Carter, who I love dearly. But we're going to let you off the hook this time because I like you.
Here's another one that'll shock you. Ruth Buzzy actually still lives here. Not too far from where Ann B. Davis was the lady, I think, that played Alice. So not too far from there.
By the way, Alec has no idea who Ruth Buzzy is, right?
I know, but isn't that great?
I'm definitely the young soul in the room, but that's fine. My father will definitely fill me in by the time.
I will. By the time we're down here, we'll look her up.
He's got some on us also. So
I think that maybe after enough Garrison Brothers bourbon, maybe the song you do is the Brady Bunch theme, and we'll all sing along.
wow,
This is escalating, and I like it. Yeah.
I've heard.
I know the words. I'm singing it now.
Really odd stuff, but never the Brady Bunch theme.
Okay, well, we'll see if we have any other requests.
So I think to answer your question, Tom, I think to answer the question on the Cliff Notes version is I've known Mr. Carter Skinner probably over a decade. Top notch, as I said, when I say one of my people, 100% one of my people, like family. And Carter said, hey, I have a couple of great people I'd like to be on the show. And Carter doesn't vouch for an awful lot of people. I'm like, they're your family, brother. They're my family. So by all means, put them on the show. And he goes, and just FYI, it's about cigar humidors, accessories, and cigars. I'm like, well, I guess you picked the subject matter correctly too. So kudos, Mr. Skinner, kudos. So very, very happy to welcome everybody on here together. And like I said, increase the family vibe, if you will. And then I'll let everybody speak kind of on their own behalf as to
Cheers, by the way.
what they're doing and where they're going.
Cheers, absolutely.
Matty, where are you in New Jersey?
I live in Glen Rock. I'm in Bloomfield right now at Sanj's Smoke Shop. But if you're familiar with Jersey, up in Glen Rock next to Paramus.
Yeah, sure.
So, usually I'm glad you know where that is, so I didn't have to do the Jersey accent. Go, Paramus. The shopping capital of Jersey. And
No,
it's true, Tom. You've been here. You've heard it. It's you hear that.
Yes. And which one of the sticks are you smoking then, Matty? Did you tell us?
I don't have the boy stuff tonight, so what I did is I found some of my old T52 tubos that were in the tubes with the cedar. So you know me. Anytime you have that introduction of something sitting along in that cedar tube, I like that extra sweetness, the extra bouquet you get from the cedar note. So much like the Liga 9 in the tube. Big fan of the 52. The only difference, obviously, is the 52's is Habano wrapper as opposed to the Maduro. But again, anytime you add that little bit extra aging with the cedar inside, that makes me particularly happy.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So on the Charlie, on the Vigilant, you all have been doing humidors then for how long?
We just started our 26th year.
26. Wow.
Yeah. So it's amazing how many new cigars like Cuevas and other great cigar brands have come out in the last 5 to 8 years. It's like I was telling you guys before we came on. I mean, the cigar business has, it booms and it wanes, and then it booms and then it wanes. So I think the millennials are getting into the cigars in a big way. I've really seen it during COVID with people, at home and doing their thing, and it's amazing how you think you've got enough good cigars, and then better cigars like Cuevas come out, and you're smoking those, and it's a really fun business.
Absolutely. And demand for humidors, what's that been like?
During COVID, it's been crazy. A lot of people that again they're home, they're out in their backyards, they're not going out. I mean, we experienced a boom back in the late 90s. I don't know, maybe Carter, you're old enough to remember this, but there was a lot of anti-smoking stuff going on back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and we used to have a ton of great dealers, tobacconists, especially out in California, and they all got basically put out of business by the anti-smoking laws, and they were just so tough on the tobacconists. They wouldn't let them smoke. People smoke in the stores. They taxed them right off the charts. And I had customers calling me from California and saying, I can drive to Vegas and buy a box of cigars and drive back, and I can save money on a box of cigars from what I'd buy down the street in California. So that kind of hurt the business a lot, just because it drove prices through the roof for people. But people are passionate about it, so you can't keep a good man down, right? So it comes back, and it's crazy now. It's great.
That's great. And when did it? I know late 90s was when that happened. When did you see it pick back up then?
Well, we had a resurgence, and it seems like every 5 to 7 years it sort of does it'd be interesting to see what Luis says about this, but it has this sort of resurgence, and then it sort of plateaus for a while, and then it has this resurgence, and I think COVID sort of threw a little bit of gasoline on the resurgence fire, and I'm sure you guys are having a hard time keeping up with orders and meeting demand. We're having a hard time keeping up, but we're doing the best we can, and we're having supply chain issues. I mean, everybody knows about the ship that ran aground in the Suez Canal. We were having some supply chain issues before that, but now it's gotten a little bit worse because we bring wood in from the Far East, and we're having problems getting. Everybody's heard about the microchip problem in cars. You can't get simple microchips right now, so it's a really interesting time in sort of the world economy and, you know, with what's going on. But we're doing the best we can.
Right, right. What have they? Luis? What have you all seen as the last year or so as far as this resurgence goes?
No, 100% in agreement with Charlie. When COVID was really at its highest point here, at least in Florida, just March and April, we battened down the hatches, right? And my wife's a teacher, so that salary kept going. But I remember telling my son, we got to figure this out, because I thought for sure that between having a plate of food at your house for your family and smoking a cigar, you were going to pick the former, not the latter. Yes. And this is a luxury. And then May came around, and all of a sudden things started picking up. And to echo Charlie, I mean, we are, for the first time, I think, in our short existence of the brand, 4 years now, this week that just passed, we have been on back order 3 times now. We're back ordered again right now as we speak. A supply chain has really kind of suffered for us. So it's everybody always says it's a good problem to have. It is, but it isn't, right? Because an empty shelf means someone else takes up your spot. But truth be told, we are doing phenomenally well, and it's this uptick all of a sudden that just happened. It feels like the boom all over again. My father, who spends a lot of time in the Dominican Republic with the factory, tells me that it's almost like back in the 90s, where there are cigar factories opening up all over the place, little factories, much like the 90s. So there's a resurgence. I mean, it's there, it's palpable. You can certainly, you can feel it, and it's there. You not only do you feel it, you know it, because you wind up being on back order and the orders keep coming in. So it's an interesting time.
How's the Luis? How's the tobacco harvest been down there?
The Dominican's okay. It's become almost impossible to get any tobacco from Brazil. We blend, right? So our cigars, even though they're Dominican factory, are all blended anyway. So I always argue that we'd probably make the same cigar in Nicaragua or Honduras. We have a blended Scotch on a single malt,
right?
And we buy tobacco from all over the world. Brazil has been completely shut down. We can't get anything. And Nicaragua now has become pretty difficult to obtain as well. So the Dominican is doing fine. Other places not so well. Ecuadorian wrapper has become a little bit of a difficult issue for us as well. So we're struggling. We're struggling a bit to get what we normally would have in stock.
Well, and
hurricanes in Nicaragua sure didn't help. So you talk about decimating both. And that's the thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, I don't understand it. They didn't get hit up in Jalapa or Esteli or anything else." I'm like, "Guys, your supply chain." So people always go, "Come on, they can get it." And I'm like, "Guys, the East Coast got decimated and the West Coast got decimated." I'm like, "For your supply, trust me," because you hear people say it all the time. I heard it missed. I'm like, "It missed there, but logistically speaking, that doesn't help anybody."
No.
Yeah.
Well, no, so hey, I think we knew that. Gosh, Louis, we talked about this at the end of last year, that we were probably going to have inventory problems at some point during the COVID crisis, if you will. And amazingly, most companies did okay through it. But then, boy, when the back orders started happening, and a lot of people don't know this, rollers became a problem.
Rollers are still a problem.
Back up.
There's parts.
With space, keeping social distancing in place, and just so many rollers that went on to do other things, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's been a challenge and continues to be so. And our back orders actually are pretty decent. When we talk back orders, it's a couple of weeks before we're able to get the stuff out. Some other companies are behind for months, and I'm not criticizing them. They're much larger than we are, so their problems are much more, I guess, impactful, right? But nevertheless, it's still a back order, and then the rollers are definitely an issue. We're at 50% capacity in terms of what we can produce because of the space, and then on top of which, it's hard to find the rollers. So you still keep the social distancing. It's not the Wild West over the Dominican Republic. You've got to keep your distance. We're in a duty-free zone. We get inspected regularly, and things like you would take for granted, like boxes. The box manufacturer that we use is the one that's principally used by most companies in the Dominican. If you walk into that facility, for them to work efficiently is impossible with social distancing. They are completely inefficient. They just don't have the capability of doing so. So everything is backed up for months on end. It trickles all the way down, right? But
I'm hearing this industry wide. I mean, everybody I talk to daily, we can't get boxes. We've got cigars. We just don't have anything to put them in.
Yep.
The only self-sufficient factory that I know of is Pepin. And outside of that, and that Pepin did that years and years ago, right? Where you have everything under the same roof down to the cello machines. But everywhere else, I mean, I've heard it the same across the board, is being able to get, and I think it's good that people are out here listening today, because instead of yelling at the manufacturers, and you guys out there and gals out there now know how hard it is, logistically speaking. I mean, everybody hears the term 200 pairs of hands on a cigar went between from seed to the box, and everyone rolls their eyes. But now you're really hearing it when you got guys who do this for a living and down in the factory. Now you truly understand how many pairs of hands really worked to get your cigar from that seed in the ground into a finished product that's shipped out to you. So I know everyone wants their stuff, but just wait a little bit longer. We're getting there.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I am glad we're talking about it, because it's believe me, it's not because anybody doesn't want you to get good cigars. And it's a funny thing. I started hearing issues about this a few years ago from certain manufacturers, and I thought, well, how tough can it be? So I started looking into it, and number one, there's just absolutely no money in it for gringos. I guess you would agree with that, Louis, up until right now.
Until right now. Yeah.
Maybe Charlie, maybe that's something you guys can do with some of the cedar you've got, some of the waste. I wonder, would that be, how repurposing is all the rage? I don't know.
Yeah, it's Spanish cedar's actually been tough to get lately.
Wow.
We keep a lot of material in inventory it's not, the best business-wise. People want to keep very low inventory, but we build a lot of inventory for, just these types of circumstances. And actually, we do have a lot of, in the woodworking business, you get short pieces and thin pieces, and we can't do anything with them. So we probably should connect with some people that want to, to get that stuff, in terms of the liners, and in terms of what Matty Rock was talking about, in terms of the pieces of cedar that are inside the tubos and things like that. We should probably connect with some people, because it ends up, going into a grinder and turn into wood pellets.
Wow.
I think we just invented something.
Right.
So, hey, one of the things that we haven't brought up, I'm sorry, Tom.
No, that's fine. I'm going to put some website addresses for all of you up. This is all the places you can find these great folks. Go ahead, Carter.
What's everybody smoking? I've got a Cuevas Maduro, Robusto, and I haven't done this back to Matty yet.
That's what I've got. That's what I've got. Same thing.
Are we doing that? Are we all smiling? Go, look at the nice ash. Oh,
Well,
got a nice ash.
Right.
Definitely.
I'm smoking an Habano from our core line, a Casa Cuevas Habano.
And I'm smoking a Reserva Natural. I took the band off, but for what it's worth, I'm smoking it fast. I do love this cigar.
Yes.
Yeah, what a great evening.
Yes.
The only good news, I'd say, at least unlike the other booms and the issues we had in the 90s, at least when this starts to work itself out, it's not a lack of product and tobacco anymore, because people will go way, way back. Remember, people were starting to get scared in the 90s. You're literally like tree bark in your cigars. I mean, you talk about degradation and quality, and you couldn't get stuff. So now once everything gets or tries to get back to where it's supposed to be, at least the accessibility fine tobacco will be there. We're not going to have that same kind of headache and problem that that was experienced back in the 90s, where cigars that'll remain nameless that are $1 cigar now, you're spending $20 back then because you just could not get product.
And Matty, I think it's even more than that. If I can piggyback on that, because the 90s were very good for the factory, and people were producing a lot of crap back then. I mean, it was just everything was a cigar. And I think right now, if you're a consumer and you're watching this and you smoke cigars, it's a great time to be a consumer. There's a lot of really good cigars out there. I think everybody stepped up their game to do the very best, they can. And, I always say, just because I don't like a particular cigar doesn't make it a bad cigar. It's just something I don't care for. I don't like peaty scotches. It doesn't make Lafroig a bad scotch. I just don't like it. But I think in the end, what's happening is, and I hope it continues, is you're still going to get the very best quality that people can produce as manufacturers. So hopefully that'll be the case, and we don't falter into that quagmire you're talking about in the 90s where it was just crap. There was a lot of crap out there. Everything was, everybody had a brand. It was brutal, and people were paying top-notch prices for this junk. Hopefully that won't happen again.
I think the selection right now, especially because of all the great boutique brands that came in, after the 90s and built, and then the ones that have come in more recently, like Cuevas. I mean, you got an amazing selection compared to what you did back then. Before the 90s, you had all the big, you had the big corporate brands, and that's what people thought were great cigars. And then, you had that, the boom bust thing happens, and then out of that comes these great cigars that become, basically become staples for people. And that becomes their go-to cigar, like Flor Dominicana. I mean, that was like, that kind of came out to me. I'd never even heard of it until like 97, 98. And, that was, you couldn't find those. Like, people like those, that's a great cigar. And it was a good value. So that's what's great about this business.
Yeah. I agree, Charlie.
Absolutely.
Well,
you still got
Charlie Brown.
Lito. Lito's still pumping them out. 30-something years later for LF.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Exactly. It's something that Charlie just hit on. I get phone calls daily, and emails certainly from, companies looking to be represented. And the fact of the matter is, there are so many really good cigars available these days.
Yep.
That if you're a startup, you really, really, really have to bring something exceptional to the table, because consumers do have an awful lot of choices, and at good price points, and in fact, I think Louis is sitting at the table with at least one other in the business. Did I hear you say Miguel was there?
I'm sorry?
Did you say Miguel was there?
No.
Oh, sorry.
A friend of mine from California is here.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. It's a couple. They flew in for the anniversary party that we had yesterday, and he's the one that brought me the Blantons last time he was here.
Which, by the way, congratulations, 4th anniversary of Casa Cuevas Cigars yesterday.
Thank you.
That gets a golf. That's the golf clap, the special claps.
In honor of the Masters, right? There you go.
That's when you do the golf claps. But yeah, like I said, the last 30 years, and Sanj's voice is a bit wrecked today, doesn't feel great. But it's funny that you said that, because people who have not only had shops, but Sanj is also a blender and everything else. So what you get to watch and what you see, the pinnacles, the high mountain things, the low, unfortunately the low valleys of the industry that you don't want to talk about. And it's funny. And again, it goes back right to accessibility of tobacco again, because Tom and I were kidding around the one of Sanj's brands. He doesn't have a voice today, so he can't say it. So I have to look at that. The dot head he makes her. It's his fault, not mine. So I don't. Hashtag not racist. So once you understand the blending, it's in your blood, and you've done it for so many years. It's amazing how you're able to find the right tobaccos, create those flavor profiles, and make something that people enjoy and smoke. And it's amazing. We're at a place now where price point is not necessarily the difference between having a good cigar and a bad cigar. And that's a blessing. Something like a dot head, which is pennies on the dollar for another cigar. You smoke it, and you're kind of like, hey man, I don't know if this could have been pulled off during the 90s, because you just simply would not have found the tobacco to do it. And had that been around in the 90s, is this $6 or $7 cigar now a $20 cigar? And you kind of laugh and you go back to those days like, shit, if I had accessibility to high-end stuff, what would this have been worth?
I can recall late 80s, early 90s really just being angry at the fact that it was becoming popular because I couldn't get the sticks I wanted or the quality had dropped like you were talking about, Lewis and Charlie. Sanj, you're there. So, give us your take. How have things been for you?
Sanj's voice is a little wrecked, so we got to get close.
Oh, man.
Sanj can't speak tonight.
Okay.
Sanj.
Well, maybe it's better for all of us that way, right?
Oh, yeah. Now it just gets later. That means he's laughing, and trust me, I'm not sure if he's laughing with you or at you. Just
I think I know the answer.
So beware at what could show up. Just saying.
May have to get Sanj a hot toddy. Hopefully his voice will be back soon.
Yep. So he could think about his revenge on Carter. It probably won't be so bad. Although witness protection, I hear, is kind of easy right now.
I will say this: the best thing since just the MSRP is absolutely the dot head. Again, not racist. It's Sanj's thing. But kudos for that one, Sanj.
Isn't it sad that they use that hashtag now? Hashtag's not racist, son of a bitch.
Right.
They're like, sorry, what are you smoking? They're like, well, what's the cigar next to it? I'm like, do I have to? Sanj, like, you tell them. I'm like, the Snake Charmer. They're like, what? I'm like, the Snake Charmer, also the same hashtag, not racist.
Not racist.
Yeah. It's so fun to get put on the spot like that, just a little bit, right?
No doubt.
I tried one of the Snake Charmers this week. Really loved it, Sanj. Really nice stick. Really good.
I gotta look it up. I gotta find it. You're not in South Florida, are you, Sanj? Okay.
So we'll get you some out. We'll ship some out to Carter for all you guys to try. And like I said,
that'd be great. That'd be great.
Especially you guys will appreciate it. So people in the industry who've been doing what they've been doing for 2 and 3 decades, when you sit down and be like, yeah, that's how you do a house cigar, man. This is how it should be done.
Very cool.
We'll send those out so everybody could have a try.
I'd love to. Yeah, we look forward to it.
Lewis, you want to talk about your challenges in getting into the business? I mean, you already had the factory. Your dad's been in it for so long, and what challenges did you have starting?
The challenges are still ongoing, right? So the challenge is, we talked about this plethora of really good cigars out there, and you walk into any humidor and they need another cigar like they need a hole in the head, right? Do they need another cigar? The answer is no. So you're fighting for that shelf space. And then without folks like Carter in Texas for us, or Christine Odell, for example, for us in California, or any of the other brokers that we have, you don't have a real easy road into a shop, because they go, I've never heard of you. And the consumer walks in with his $10, $20 bill, whatever it may be, and says, okay, do I go for the pretty shiny box of stuff I've never heard? Or do I spend my money on what I've heard of and what I know? And inevitably, they're going to go for what they know. So unless that shop owner goes above and beyond to try to sell the product by hand and get into the consumer's hands and all that stuff, which is asking a lot, without boots on the ground, it's really, really tough. So that's been the biggest hurdle. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure out there's some brands that have been phenomenal and they've died a really slow and painful death at the floor of some humidor in some shop somewhere. Nobody ever smoked it. And the folks who produced it ran out of gas, ran out of money, and that was the end of it. That's the biggest challenge. It's a very, very competitive industry. I always say, I think we talked about this earlier, that our goal in having this brand is to make it part of someone's humidor. So inevitably, when people walk up to us at a show and they're going to try the product for the very first time, if you ask, do you have a humidor? The answer is going to be yes. Hopefully it's one of Charlie's. And then beyond that, then the question then is, okay, and if you have a humidor, you have several cigars in there. Yes. Well, I'd like to be part of that humidor. So something you go to on occasion. There's room for everyone. But still, even getting it into that consumer's hands so that they can taste it and maybe like the product, that's a huge challenge. And it's a big country. And we live in South Florida. I can't be everywhere at once. So that's been our biggest hurdle. And it's an expensive hurdle. But it's certainly been worth the trip. And we're blessed to be where we are right now.
Charlie, what about you? What are the challenges that you face, with keeping up, I guess, per se. You know, one of the things that I noticed has happened over the last couple of decades, we've got a lot less expensive products available to use for consumers as far as humidification goes.
Right.
But
we just,
you know, I'm sorry.
We made a decision a long time ago to stick with quality, stick with, you know, reliability. We have a lifetime warranty on our product.
Wow.
And, you know, you got to stick to your guns when you're doing that, right? It's like what Luis is talking about. Like, you have to build a quality product. And, you know, as he mentioned, you got to keep getting yourself out in front of people. So you get through the noise and you get through all this, the hype and all this other stuff. And, you know, the people that want our product, they're people that are committed to the you know, they're committed to cigars. They're into this. They're in for the long haul. And, you know, other companies come and go. And, you know, we have a lot of repeat customers. We have people that, you know, they refer their buddies, they refer their friends. And, you know, and you build quality, and you got to do your best. Like, just social media and, you know, getting out there with Google and AdWords and all this other stuff. It's crazy competitive. It's very difficult to get through, but you almost have to go back to the old school. You know, it's boots on the ground, doing the hard work, getting people to sample the product. And it sounds corny, but it's just old school, you know, digging in your heels and doing your thing. And if you have a confidence in what you're doing and what you're making and what you're selling and what you're producing, eventually, you know, you'll do fine.
Yeah. Very well put. Very well put.
One of the things that astonishes me is, you know, the average cost of a box of cigars now is about $200. Would you say, Matty and Louis?
Oh yeah.
Couple $100 to, you know, upwards.
And depending on the state, right? So in a place like California, it can get really, really pricey in a hurry compared to, let's say, Florida with no tobacco tax, right? So yeah, absolutely, it gets up. Well,
so you've got this incredible investment. Why would you want to use a cheap product to keep your cigars in good shape? You know, I would like to say, I think Vigilant makes the best humidifiers, number one, and their humidors are second to none. It's not just Charlie's not paying me, right? So they hold plus or minus 2%. Wow, it's unheard of. And my opinion is, for the money, you cannot get any better. They just
everybody here.
One of those people that's real picky about where mine sit. I like about 67. You know, a lot of people are 70, a lot of people are 65. I like mine right about 67, 68. A little bit more. And even as much as our humidity can fluctuate here in Texas, I mean, we go from 50% to 90 in a heartbeat. It never fails. It never fails.
The thing that's ironic about that, you got Florida, you got Texas, super humid climates, but you guys all live in air conditioning all the time. Up here in New England, most people don't even have air conditioning, right? Because we don't need it for more than a month, maybe, out of the year. Right. And Matty Rock, you can lay in here, like July and August in New Jersey and New England is just like miserable. We get nothing, and then all of a sudden it's 90 degrees, it's 80% humidity, it's super uncomfortable. And so for you guys, being in a climate controlled environment all the time, it's pretty easy to store your cigars with a good humidification system, right? Because it's steady Eddie. And you know, one of the good things about our products too is we have large, you know, reservoirs for the water, so you don't have to fill these things constantly and worry about, oh my God, I'm on vacation. Did I fill it up? You know, most stuff needs to be filled maybe once every 3 to 6 weeks. And you know, when you go up to your humidor and you want to pull out a couple of cigars to go out and smoke a few cigars with your friends or whatever, you want them to be right, because they're no better than what was rolled from the beginning if they haven't been taken care of.
Yeah.
Yep. Especially places like New Jersey. Like I said, for such a tiny state, Mother Nature treats us like a big douche, right? So last year we had, actually a bunch of 101-degree days.
Yep.
Mother Nature's like, check me out. It's going to be -6. And so you think about it. If you're at the end of the day, people, and I always laugh when people say, why would you spend so much money on that humidor? I can go get a presswood humidor for X. I'm like, well, I guess that depends on what you're smoking. Like, what do you mean? You're protecting your investment. It's no different than a security system in your home or anything else. I'm like, if your precious puros are going in a presswood humidor, and you're talking the upper echelons of your sticks, 20, 30, 40, and you get some of these guys with $50 and $60 sticks. Are you sure that you put that in a regular presswood that's not keeping proper humidity? Too much air is leaking in. And again, especially when you live in states like mine, those massive swings in not just humidity, but temperature, they could really, people don't get how much of a number, if it keeps going back and down, a lot of times it can do on a cigar. And I can promise you, even from doing the trade shows, just shipping cigars out to Vegas and them coming back. And a lot of people don't believe me. And then they smoke like they're not the same. Just that trip, they are not the same cigar anymore. And people need to be aware of that. So when it comes, I tell people when it comes to storing your cigars properly, I'm like, guys, it's an investment. I'm not saying, don't do this or don't do that. But if you're looking to keep everything the way they were meant to be smoked in their original condition without them changing, humidity and temperature so many times, you're going to want to invest in something that protects them, right?
Yep.
And there's where to check them out, vigilantinc.com. For humidors and also wine cellars, you do a whole lot more, don't you?
We do a lot of that. We do wine cellars, and Matty, we were just down doing at Paramus, New Jersey, Baltusrol Country Club.
Right on. Yep.
U.S. Open 2 years ago. We were just down at Preakness Country Club in Wayne. That's not too far from you, right?
No, I'm in Wayne in 10, 12 minutes. Yep.
So we do a lot of wine and cigar stuff. Last summer during COVID, I had to drive all the way to St. Louis from Boston, which took me 20 hours each way because of COVID. The Ritz in St. Louis put in the most incredible cigar room. If anybody gets a chance to go to this place, there's 450 cigar lockers. They have the most incredible air recapture system. They've got a huge corporate loyalty program there. So any company in St. Louis has a locker in this place, and they do tons of great events, and they got just a great cigar culture out there if anybody has a chance to go. So
very cool.
And that highly.
All right. Question regarding humidors from Sean. When you store the cigars, you keep them in the should you keep them in the cellophane wrapper or not? In the humidor.
I'm not touching it. There's some will say yes, some will say no. I'm out.
That's on this. I'm totally out on this one. You know what, Charlie? Speak to this.
I'm in on this. So I don't take the cellophane off because I'm just too worried about ripping a cigar. So, it's great that they're all together and they're sharing the love and they're all mixing their flavor together and they're getting the humidity they should. But honestly, the cellophane keeps them from ripping an edge, tearing an edge, and they'll get to the right humidity if they're left in there and everything's constant over time. So, generally your cigars are pretty good when you get them, whether you got a mail order or whether you went to the local tobacconist. They might be a little dry because they haven't been humidified every step of the way, but I tend to leave them in there and don't take the cellophane off till I'm ready to have it.
And people sometimes don't know that cellophane is porous. It is porous. So
it's not plastic. I think
they're going to keep it in there.
It's not plastic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's permeable.
Right. And then if you're going to grab a couple cigars and head out and go somewhere, then you don't have to worry as much about that either, right? Because they're in the cellophane and they're protected. And so that's my thing, but I can see the other side of it.
Yeah.
Well, Matty and Lewis, I think you guys are both chicken. I'm laying here.
I ain't saying shit. I say nothing. Like, nope.
Well, I sort of agree with Charlie in a very subtle way there. So,
look, the cellophane keeps them protected. granted, we don't rustle our stuff around too much. And the other thing is, no longer in the States do we get cigars that aren't in cellophane because of the new laws. But there's still plenty that I have that have no cellophane on them anyway. Not just the Cuban cigars. I mean, there have been plenty released over the last 30 years that
Padron doesn't use cellophanes for
exactly.
Right? And they are a solid company, God knows. So
absolutely.
Just to be a dick, I wanted to say who.
Right.
Behind me, start strangling.
Carter, what are the laws about cellophane? I haven't heard about that.
What are the laws? Well, I don't know. Lewis really would be able to answer that. The thing is, everything's got to have a barcode on it now. Correct, Lewis?
Not that I know of. I don't know if that's a federal law yet. I know ours do. And truth be told, one of the things that helped us along the way over the 4 years that we've done is we incorporated barcodes because shops find it easier to have a barcode. But my gosh, I know Fuentes forever didn't have any barcodes on them. Padron was one that didn't have any barcodes on them because their cigars don't have a cellophane. So how do you put the barcode in that cigar on that individual stick? I mean, if you put the little piece of tape on, you tear it off. Common sense tells you you're going to rip up that wrapper. So I don't know if it's federal law yet. Listen, I don't know the answer necessarily. I know a lot of companies are going that way because you partner up with the shops, and the shops like the cellophane. Forgive me, the barcodes. It just makes life a lot easier. They scan, they go. So we do it because, listen, it's not difficult. It's not, and it's very, very affordable. So it's not an extra cost that's gonna somehow raise the price of that cigar to the point where you outprice yourself. It's just a benefit you give when you partner up with that particular shop, I think.
All right. So Sanj just gave me a whisper of what the law is supposed to look like and be followed. So if you're producing over 100,000 cigars a year, they're supposed to be cellophaned and banned.
Interesting.
And barcoded.
Okay. So
Thank you.
I had a lesser understanding.
Well, you were right though, Carter. I mean, I had no idea that was a law. So there we go.
Well, Padron's putting out a lot more than 100,000.
If you read,
yes, they are.
The last FDA, the last FDA rule book, apparently it's in there, on their 178th rendition of it.
Right.
So if you read the newest one now, that it's in there, or if you use it to light your cigars with, I'm not sure which.
Yeah.
These are great questions. Also from Sean, rotating cigars monthly, top to bottom. Is that something you? What are the thoughts on that?
I'll say straight up, I'm horrible with it. I do not. But I really don't open and close my humidors an awful lot, right? That's when you're really changing. Everything's getting out of there. The seasoning's getting out. The humidification, like in my mind, there's a couple of my, now, of course, I have things like the big Havana foot lockers, which, you're going to stumble around that for a little bit if you have something that holds 500 or 600 sticks. But for me, I'm terrible. I do not rotate them. You hope that, like I said, now, again, with higher end humidification systems, I don't think you really have to worry about it at all. Now you're talking about if you don't have a higher end piece of equipment where the humidity is not going to all the places it should be, and you're not protecting them. But I have about 18,000 sticks. If the sticks could talk, they'd be like, hey, this asshole doesn't rotate us at all, ever. So there's my moment of truth.
Yep. No, I agree. It's like, that's, one of our system that does 10 cubic feet starts at $300. That's a box and a half of cigars. So, I leave everything in the box until it gets about 2/3 empty, and I need the space so that I'll pull them out and I'll put them in a loose bin. But I leave everything in their original box. I know where they are that way, right? I know when I bought it because I take a Sharpie and I write the date on it. And I rotate the box maybe because I got to get to something else, but I'm not touching the cigars at all.
I would parrot that. I don't rotate mine. Now, the sample cigars from my manufacturers like Lewis, really anal about those, because when I hand those out to a prospective customer, they need to be in perfect shape. They need to be ready to smoke right then. And so I'm really, really particular about those. And I do rotate those and so forth. Although if you're doing it right, you're going through your samples fairly regularly. But I don't rotate. It doesn't seem to be a problem.
Sanj has got an answer. It's going to be more of a whisper, so we're going to get in close.
I definitely want to hear Sanj's take.
So in 1993, a guy named Don Douglas out of Costa Rica, who used to manufacture my cigars, what he taught me, the cello, the important part about cello, most people don't understand. If you take a cello and burn it, it burns like a piece of paper. It smells like a piece of paper. It's not a plastic. So it's the same material that you take capsule. So 80% capsule has 80% gelatin and 20% cellophane. On a cigar, it's the other way around. So actually the technique behind cello is you don't need to rotate anything because it's like, you know, putting a piece of dry rope in the water, and it's going to allow water to, you know, saturate the whole rope. And that's the whole concept behind cello. So me personally, I don't like cello. I like cigars by itself. I don't like, you know, as you know, Tom, I have close to $3-4 million worth of rare stuff, and I don't have humidification. I don't own humidification. What we have here is a different ballgame because that's what consumer wants. But cello, so if you have cello, you do not need to rotate cigars. And also, humidity rises, as everyone knows, right? And when it cools off, it drops on the cigar. So if you don't have a cello, it's going to get one side, if you don't rotate it without cello, more saturated, and the bottom's going to dry out. So, but then again, if you look at a lot of humidors, you know, high-end humidors, they actually have a breathing tray underneath, so you don't need to do anything. So Ellie Blue makes it like that. Manning makes it like that. Davidoff humidors are like that. Prometheus has a trays on the bottom. Actually, it's you know, tiny little holes in it, and it's a tray, and the side has a panel, so it just, you know, breathes itself. So, excuse me, but I think, you know, so cello is not. I mean, you know, now they're making a rule because FDA is taking over, and FDA clearly says, out of, you know, that if you produce over 100,000 cigars a year, you have to have a cello. So because it's a health thing, it has nothing to do with, you know, what's keep cigars are kept. Me personally, all my cigars, all my dot hair, snake charmers, all that, I don't believe in cello. I think the cello, you know, to me, it doesn't allow to age with the you know, your own climate. Most people use humidor, household humidors. They don't put distilled water. You know, they just use regular water. And you know, the palate, the amount, what we're talking about, your palate has to be a newborn child's palate to understand what the fuck did you just do. So to me, what you apply, it means nothing to me. I hate everybody here. You know, we take time. I have 1,400 boutique cigars, you know, 1,400 different facings. And our humidification system is state of the art, you know, and we do use reverse osmosis water. We have evaporative systems, you know. There is no cigar has a white dust on it, you know, none of that. So it's climate control. Even our humidor glass is a non-transparent glass, which is what's temperature outside in the room. It's not inside. So if you touch this glass, it's the same temperature as what's outside. So a lot of people, a lot of cigar shop guys don't go to that extreme. All our humidors are spray foam insulated, top to bottom, all 5 sides. Even our doors are special glass. I mean, you know, even our handles are surgical grade handles. So, you know, you're not passing any, you know, bacteria or anything. So a lot of people just open up. And, you know, the problem, I think, with manufacturers today, and a lot of them, the reason they're not successful, they're hoarding their product out. What is the difference between a guy like me, who's here 30 years, doing the right thing for 30 years, right? Regardless of tax. When I started, that was 0% tax, 12, 24, 48 with the floor tax. Now it's 30, and I still sell cigars cheaper than guys in Florida, guys in Pennsylvania. So, you know, that is, tax has nothing to do with any of it. This is their personal greed. I think all these fucking retail guys, and why, if you make something so boutique and you take so much pride, why is your fucking product in every single cigar shop? Explain that to me. And no one could explain it because nobody's in there, in my opinion. And I deal with people, manufacturers all day, every day. And to me, if something comes easily accessible, I don't want it. I'm out. My space is very valuable. And then, you know, like earlier, Louis said that, you know, you need a product, you know, you need a guy in a shop. Of course, I'm a connoisseur. The way anybody's cigar is going to come into my shop, your cigar has to match 80% of my client's palate. And then you coming in. And then here, we don't upsell. I have by 30, 40 people in the back. You ask anybody. If you came to my shop and you pick up 20 cigars and I know your palate, and if I know something you're not going to like it, I'm going to tell you to put it back.
Still yelling at me
And that's
now,
why
15 years
that's
later,
why
I get cursed out.
we move lot of retail shops come to me and they're like, how is it possible that you move everything you bring, you move it? That's the reason. So we don't buy it. Now, like, listen, we don't have Fuentes right now. I don't need them. We didn't have Padron for 4 years. I don't need them. That is something that sells itself. That stuff is everywhere. And you know, I'm not going to support somebody that don't care about small guy. If you call yourself a true boutique shop, make sure your stuff is in a true boutique shop. Not every corner shop. So, you know, to me, if you can't see that difference between somebody who's working hard and giving 100%, then I'm not with your company. I'm not going to support it. And a lot of times, you know, it's very hard to come into my shop. But if once somebody comes into my shop, we give them 1,000%. And the most problem that most small boutique companies they have, they can't supply enough product to us. Because for us to order 500-600 boxes, it's a regular thing. So they're like, you know, Black Label Trading Company. They were the honestest guys that I met in industry. They're like, listen, your demand, we can't do it. So I says, hey, that's a great thing. But there are other companies, on the other hand, based out of Texas. They promised us all kind of stuff, 2 years worth of deal in, 2 years worth of negotiation. We shook hand and they can't do it. So next thing you know, they were out of my shop. I can't have my shop empty. Listen, we're going to support you. You're going to, you know, support me. And that's the bottom line. I never have in 30 years asked any manufacturer for a free cigar. So to me, you know, it's mutual thing. And, you know, I think the downfall of a lot of new cigar companies is they putting their product anywhere and everywhere. It's like this Davidoff, right? There's 162 shops in the world. Why? Because they know if they're protecting me and I'm protecting their clients. And I think that's the best way. I mean, you know, listen, we have Section 8 dot hits. So many shops want it. We used to manufacture SP 1014s in 1992 all the way to 2007. We never sold a cigar to any shop because we did not have enough. We used to make like 400, 500,000 cigars a year, and it was selling out of here. So we had no need for it, you know. And then we ran out of tobacco, and I said, forget it. So we scrapped that blend. So the original blend was actually made by a guy named, most people won't even know his name, a guy named Ben Arm. He worked for UST. And Ben was a great guy. You know, he's still alive. You know, he does coffee now out of Dominican Republic. Then we moved to Don Douglas. So Costa Rican cigar. My cigar was the first one with the Costa Rican wrapper. It was made by Don Douglas.
Well, you brought up a really important point too, Sanj, and thanks for weighing in.
I'm in pain. I'm in fucking pain right now, but I couldn't resist this.
I'm sorry, brother.
And look, see, now you get the little G.I. Joe thing. And knowing's half the battle.
Right. You brought up a very important point. You know, in the boutique cigar world, that's all we handle. We don't do anything other than boutiques. And in our world, it's so important to find retailers like yourself that's all you're focusing on. You know, and it seems to be doing very, very well for the shops that have adopted that role. You know, Charlie, in your world, you're not so much out there with a showcase, but you've got your cigar retailers that use your systems and have your custom cabinets and humidors to represent you constantly.
Yeah, no, he's preaching to the choir. When I started the business, boutique cigar shops were the business. You know, and some of them are gone.
Loyalty and quality of product, right? At the end of the day.
Manufacturers also have to decide which direction they want to go. They want to go again. Listen, I've been doing this basically all my life. So to me, if someone said, "Hey, I'm a rated #1 cigar," I really don't care. I sell cigars. You make cigars. I sell cigars. You dealing with me. I'm dealing with 1,000 people. So to me, my trust and my honesty is what's give. I mean, listen, we do an event to sell a couple hundred boxes on an event. It's like a piece of cake for me. But we can't do an event with companies that don't have product, and we don't carry it. If you can't provide me product, I don't want you. I don't care how hard are you, plus you. But to me, this is I can't have my guys come up and say, hey, you don't have this, and then I gotta make up stories. No, and that's a new way of this. What it was in 90s, everybody wanted to give you cigars. Yeah, it was shit. 90% of the shit was garbage, right? And that was the time. If you wrap shit in a nice box and bang, some jerk off paid you $20 for it, right? But today, the internet and the accessibility of knowledge, so people are getting educated. You're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling. You're not giving somebody a fancy band, and now nobody look at Cigar Aficionado rating. Not a single soul that I know that cares what the cigar says. I mean, what the rating says. Why is that? Because you have so much information out there. You have great cigar shop owners that willing to educate. Listen, I sit here with people, and if they want to learn, I teach them everything they need to know. If it's 2 a.m, I stay here. But that's the pride a lot of retailers don't take, right?
Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's the amazing thing about our industries with regard to the boutiques. It's a very personal thing.
Yeah.
And we've gotten to a point where the consumers want to know the owners. They want to know Louis. They want to know Alec. For some reason, they want to know Matty. Haven't figured that one out yet, but we'll talk about it some other time.
I'll see you later there, fella.
But here's my question, right? This is to me is fucking mind-boggling. At what fucking point a manufacturer becomes a boutique manufacturers when they're whoring their product out? What is the difference what is the difference? Same cigars that we don't listen.
Let me tell you, when we started the Boutique Cigar Association a few years back with Gabby Caffey,
yes,
that was one of the conversations that we had continuously. Okay, well, at what point are we going to cut off the manufacturers? Do we say 1 million cigars? What is that?
Right.
And the bottom line is, we never really got a clear definition. We could not come to an agreement on that.
I know Dr. Gabby very well. Great guy, great everything.
Yes.
It's like if I wish they had different association, right? I think a lot of manufacturers are cheapening their product by going to groups. Now you wake up on social media, there's fucking 9 million fucking groups, cigar this, cigar that. Nobody knows anything. So manufacturers are going that route too. They going with all this, little boutique shit, little fancy packaging. No, you're fooling people. And to me, I don't care. I'll call out anybody, So I'm not worried. If I'm lying or if I'm making up stories, I have to worry. But if I'm telling you the truth, then that's all there's to it. You have to learn to deal with it, And I get guys come up here and tell me, how the retailers. So my hashtag, one of my first hashtag is do good. That's just my nature. My second hashtag is the most hated retailer. Not by consumer, by every other fucking cigar store guys, because they do something wrong. I got a call 2 weeks ago from Arizona. Guy owns a fucking shop in Arizona. He's like, do you mind not putting prices? And I'm like, why? He goes, well, my guys follow you, and they complain that you're selling this in New Jersey with 30% tax, and they got fucking 16 cents cap on a cigar. And I'm like, listen, dude, do the right thing. Even New Jersey, I always said it. Cigar Snap magazine did my interview a long time ago, and I told them, I said, New Jersey business or any tobacco business is not run by high taxes. It's run by greedy business guys. Why would you have a need to sell $10 MSRP cigar for fucking $18? Because it's rare? Or it's not rare. Right. Manufacturers are holding. A lot of manufacturers are holding product back to create a demand. And that is wrong. And then, I'm not going to support it. I tell all my, listen, don't support this fucking brand because they're holding product back. If you genuinely did not have a product, then I don't want to see it anywhere. Social media is a motherfucker.
Well,
So
I can tell you
tell
this.
me, you tell me you don't have a product, and then I see like 2, 3, 4 boxes in every fucking shop. Then I got a problem with that.
Right.
I can tell you this. Lewis and I want to sell every single cigar he makes.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, so again, so I know about Lewis. I know about their company. I know everything about their company. Do they have any boots in the ground in New Jersey? Did they ever call me? Did they ever
I'm coming to see you.
But,
I'm
okay,
coming to see you, buddy.
you're missing my point.
Okay, so there, Lewis. Why don't you speak?
We had a broker in New Jersey, and bottom line is, if he never called on you, that's on him. And notice I said had. Do we have anyone there in New Jersey now? The answer is no. So it is what it is.
He's just sitting at the park right now feeding the ducks. Okay.
Look, I'm sure he's doing well. He's no longer with me, right? So
I know exactly who your broker is.
yeah.
I put him in the business.
Let's be honest about it, Sanj. You know this just as well as I do. There's a lot of lazy reps out there. Lewis, it's hard to find good reps.
I don't want to call this gentleman lazy. He's not lazy. I think we were maybe too small for.
Well, I wasn't insinuating that towards him.
No. He's a good man. He's a good man. We just weren't a good fit.
It has nothing to do. We actually support every small. My first goal is to support small company. I don't care if you make 50,000 cigars a year and I like your product. I'm going to assign to you and say, hey, I need 25,000 cigars. You agree, we're in the business. You play games, I throw you out. It's just that simple.
Well, and
every company, every small company that they came out, they all started here. Every company, they launched cigars here. And it's just the way it is. And I don't mind. I'm not looking for big companies. I go back to CAO when CAO was CAO when it first came out. We made them. We made CAO what CAO was.
Before even Ricky.
Yeah, before Ricky and everybody.
Ricky, yeah.
Interesting.
A lot of companies. Mickey Pegg used to be a VP of CAO. And Mickey Pegg would tell you, if it wasn't for Sanj, CAO never existed. Epic. It would have never existed without me.
We have unleashed the Sanj, ladies and gentlemen. Tom, how do you like having your show hijacked?
How do I what? What was that again?
How do you like having your shows hijacked?
No, hey, it's good to have the conversation, and it's always good to hear all the perspectives. And I'm glad Sanj his voice is feeling better. It looks like.
Yeah.
No, agree.
I'm in fucking pain, but I'm doing better.
No, I don't want you to be in pain, Sanj. Of course I don't. No. We don't.
Well,
the good news is Tom's 14 bourbons in. You just weren't counting.
That's right. Yes.
So Lewis, send me some samples and stuff, and let's do some business.
Let's do it, Sanj. Absolutely. Actually, I don't even mind catching a flight up there. My wife's from Jersey, and I've never been with her to her birthplace, so it'd be kind of cool to get
of course.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm looking forward to come up and sitting with Matty and Vic and the crazy.
Absolutely. But we'll see.
Great panel tonight. Somebody great. And I think one thing to ask you all, as we look at, obviously it's all grown during the pandemic, the last 13 months, the interest in cigars, humidors, a large part due to because people were at home. They needed something to do. They were learning more about it. Maybe even able to have a cigar as they did work. Now, a lot of these people, not all of them, some of them going back to work, some of them still working from home. How do you see it? What do you all predict coming out of the pandemic? I mean, as far as in your business and as far as the general
promotions, they're ready. I could tell you from 30 years of being a promoter and promotions, people are ready to get out. People are ready to be around others. And you know what? People are, and it sounds corny, but I mean, people are thankful for the things that got them through these hard times. And that's when we talk about high-end boutique liquors and art and cigars. And like, these are such important things that, I mean, it got us through, right? Anything that was a distraction that helped to get us through the misery. We haven't seen this in literally 100 years. Yeah. So when the doors back open, your consumers are ready to embrace. So once supply patterns go back to where they were before, unless they let me drive another boat and I fuck it up and crash it in a canal, once these supply chains all open up again, I can't tell you even now, like, Matty, you're getting your second shot. You're going to start going out on the road. And I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, I think what we miss the most is doing this, being together, doing it instead of just doing it.
Absolutely.
So I think it's going to be a very, very interesting time. I don't like comparing it. The joke is people are say, hey, it'll be like, the Great Depression when everybody's going to be running around and going crazy. But there's a part of me that sees some of that happening because people want to be out enjoying the things that they love. And, we've successfully had 56 episodes of this show because this is what people love: fine bourbons and fine spirits and great cigars and people manufacturing quality humidification product and all things of that nature. So on my thought process is all these guys are going to benefit it because I think people want to come out, see people and say thank you. Yeah. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I concur. And I'll tell you that the more Texas has opened up, the more people are really enjoying the camera. I mean, let's face it, exactly, Matty, it's so much of it is about the camaraderie. We enjoy hanging with each other and sharing a good stick and a good bourbon, and people have just missed that tremendously.
Yeah, look, the fact that you're looking forward to seeing me, which is me, you're like aiming really fucking low, but I appreciate that. That's how much people want to get out. Like, I'd really like to see Matty. I'm like, oh, this year's definitely been savage.
Right.
I'm like, if I'm a high life and part of your expectation, shit, people need out.
Right. Agreed. Well, and I think Lewis and Charlie, are you going to be in Vegas, Charlie?
Yes.
Good. Yeah. So I think everybody's looking forward to that. I haven't read the rules yet, but I think people are looking forward to it.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Matty, will you be
100%? 100%, man. They're going to be out there. Like I said, I think we're going to see. It's going to adjust by the laws, right? So I think when you can have, and I've gotten calls already, when you can do events, and this just right here, we can't be hosting 500 and 600 people events, but guess what? Next couple of months we'll be hosting 250 and 300, right. And people are more than happy to accept those smaller events. And to be honest, from my side, the guys that we have up here, Lewis and Charlie, guess what? When you're seeing these people, it's going to be a more personal and intimate event where you really get to engage your customer. You get to talk to them. Like, some people love these huge shows, and don't get me wrong, I've been doing them for 15 years. But how much one-on-one time do you get to spend? If you get 30 seconds or a minute, right, is that really engaging, with your customer? And the answer, of course, is no. But when you have these smaller venues, I'm telling you, I think that's the beginning, in my opinion. There will be more events of smaller venues in nature, and I think everybody's going to connect and or reconnect in a much better way. I think this is actually going to come out of the other end looking very good for everybody. If I was a betting man on this, that's what I'm betting on.
So here's my take, right? 30 years I'm here. I have never attended any of these events. I don't support CRA. I don't support IPCPR. I don't support any of it. Here's my thing with manufacturers, what they need to learn and do. And I think it would do better. Manufacturers go to these shows. They're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars, right? Take that fucking money and do a promo in a store. You'll go further. Because now you're putting product in the people's hand and say, hey, if you have a budget of $100,000, right, at IPCPR, say, fuck them. I'm going to take 20 fucking stores, my top stores, and say, you know what? I'm going to give out $10,000 worth of cigars. Put it in the consumer's hand. If you get 20% return on that money, you won. If you get 10% return, you won. What are you doing in Vegas? Jerking off. Nobody's doing anything. I get these fucking deals 3 months before the show starts. So where the fuck is all this shit started? When it started, it was supposed to be cigar industry. Now you got this fucking hookah guys, vape guys, electronic cigarettes guys. Man, go fuck themselves. Listen, Louis, fuck all that. Go to your legal cigar shops and, give them promotion and just do a fucking cut and light and say, invite 200 guys. I'm going to give out everybody 2 cigars. Or, you know, if you make 5 cigars, I'm going to give everybody 5 cigars. It's cheaper for you, and you'll go further. I don't believe in any of it.
And look, since it's Vegas, I got to be honest. No one will be jerking me off. That's what you pay the hookers for.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Let's be real honest. How many of us really enjoy Vegas?
To me, I'm not going to anywhere. You know, you go and it's completely unorganized. You know, and again, what do CRA do for this business? Nothing. Guys became ambassadors and traveling first class that they never took a fucking train in their life. They're wasting money. They're wasting, cigar smokers' money, misguiding them. All this FDA stuff happened should never took a place. And Matty knows we had everything done. Nobody showed up. They're all talking big game. Every single manufacturers. Simple as that. So instead of going to IPCPR, hey, Lewis, do a fucking event by me. Instead of giving 5 cigars free, do a 7 cigars free. Or just fucking come here one day with a suitcase full of cigars and say, you know what, I'm going to give out fucking 200 cigars. It's cheaper. Go to 20 stores like that. Go to 30 stores like that a year. And you'll go further. Because when something's free, everyone will smoke it. And if they smoke it, and again, if 10% people like your product, you won that battle.
Interesting.
Good name. My witness protection name is now Michael Smith. Michael Smith.
Mine is Steve Dorfmeyer, and
mine is Sanj Patel.
Tom, I'm an old radio guy from back in the day, and I think we have more than exceeded any delay that was ever invented with Sanj in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, listening to you, I thought you might be. What kind of radio did you do?
I sold advertising.
Did you do you didn't do any on air? Did you do any?
No, nobody wanted to hear my voice.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm dead serious. So
they really didn't.
I was
you
never
and I
willing
have faces
to
for radio. That's strange.
I did some on air work. I had a sports talk show before there was any sports center in Houston. The fact of the matter is, at that time, everybody still wanted the Midwest sound. You know, you had a void of accent. I'm from Texas, so I'm screwed. Much like Matty.
Yeah. You notice nobody's exactly clamoring to get my nasal New Jersey, New York accent. You know, they're like, yeah, we'll pay you to not speak. It'd be like the version of OnlyFans, except I make money for not posting my nudes, right? Same thing with the radio voice.
Matty,
$40 to shut the fuck
I've
up.
definitely got the face for radio.
New Jersey accent, New York accent at all. You do not sound like you're from there at all.
I pretty much cleared it out being on the road since I was 18. I was lucky. Now you talk to my mom, it's talking to female Joe Pesci. Oh, you said you called your mother, you jerk off. What? Unbelievable. I can't believe you didn't call your mom. Now I'm kind of screwed. She'll probably not talk to me for a month. Love you, Mom. All good, Mama Dukes.
All right. This is it's a great time having all of you tonight. And speaking of radio, this is going to be up permanently wherever you're watching on video, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. But our podcast channel is anchor.fm/BourbonBlog. You can find this and many other Cigar Saturday episodes to subscribe to. Definitely like that and subscribe as well. And we're going to give away that bourbon barrel aged coffee. I do want to make sure I send you to BourbonBlog.com/coffee so you can check out our bourbon coffee we did with the Bourbon Blog coffee with Janice Coffee Roasters. But who wants to pick a number between 1 and 31? Which of you want to pick that?
I'll pick one. 3.
Okay, pick one. 3. 3?
3. I was born on the 3rd, so 3.
All right, number 3. We've actually we've heard from this gentleman some tonight, so it's very fitting. Sean Millard. So thank you, Sean, for watching.
Good job there, Shawnee boy.
Yeah, and great questions. And I see Michael, Abrams, Chris, Irene, Chris Osgood. So many good people watching tonight. Gentlemen, all of you can't wait to try the cigars. Hopefully, we'll check out one of your humidors as well soon, Charlie. And again, those links to go to vigilantinc.com for the humidors and the 2 cigar companies. There's the Casa, Cuevas Cigars.com, and the Tiburon Boutique Cigars. Who we talking with next week, Matty and Sanj?
For all of my wrestling fans out there, from the Samoans, we have Mr. Lloyd Anohi. So we will get to we will get to deal with Maus, and he'll be talking about his almost 3-decade wrestling career. So we'll have fun with that. If he's back up here, I'll see him in person. So maybe you get to see me smash through a table or something. I know.
Oh, I
expect a high viewership if that actually happens. I know Carter will tape it for sure.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Gentlemen, such a pleasure having all of you on the show, and hope to see all of you in the near future for a good drink and a smoke.
Absolutely. Tom, thanks so much, and thank you guys both for being on the show.
Thank you.
Much love,
Thanks,
y'all, guys.
everybody. Much love, guys.
Be good, be safe, and we'll see you next